Hey, this is Jay Anderson from K-Side Press. Going to be talking today to smiling Sam Alvey. Sam's fighting at UFC 222, Las Vegas, March 3rd, taking on promotional newcomer Marcin Prachnio. So we're going to catch up with him on all sorts of topics, weight cutting in the sport, the fight with Prachnio, Anderson Silva's legacy, and a whole bunch more. All right, man. Thanks. Thanks again for doing it today. I really appreciate it. And Super Bowl Sunday, no less. So before we get started, Eagles versus Patriots. I don't know if you're a football guy, but who's your pick?
A huge football guy. I'm picking the Patriots. It just you don't bet against success, and the Patriots are about as successful a team as there's ever been. As well, but their seventh Super Bowl in 12 years or something close to that.
I am not a football guy, although I actually have a championship belt from my fantasy football league. Surprisingly, I just play the numbers. So that is my claim to fame. But all right, Patriots. I'm gonna watch the halftime show. Honestly. Um, so getting our focus on MMA. Obviously, you got a fight coming up. UFC on Fox 28 in Orlando. I want to talk to you about that. And I just want to rewind a little. Going back to UFC Gdansk, and you've probably talked about it to death, but you took that fight really short notice. 10 days, obviously struggled with the cut, 35 pounds I think it was in that time, and came out on the wrong end of the unanimous decision. In hindsight, if you had to do it over again, is that a fight you would decline?
Yeah, I would decline it. And not the fight, but the weight cut. It was 42 pounds in 10 days, and I just overestimated what I could do. I almost got there, but it was too much. I should have listened to my coaches and my wife a little more, but I was just convinced I could do it.
Always listen to the wife. That goes without saying. Um, and something that I read that you said after that bout in regards to the cut was that the weight just wasn't coming off. The body kind of just shut down on it. As you get older, and I'll put a disclaimer on this because I got a few years on you, but as you get older, do you find the cuts are getting a little harder?
You know what? No. I've been working with George Lockhart the last maybe about 2 years, and he has reinvented weight cutting for me, and dieting, and it's gotten so much easier for me now that I know what I'm doing and know who I'm working with. It really was. He told me at the beginning of that last weight cut. He said, "Listen, bro," he said, you can do it, but you're not going to be 100%." And I should have believed him too.
Now, weight cuts, it kind of came up over the weekend, and this is what got me thinking about it because we had UFC Berlin. We saw three fights affected by weight cuts. I mean, Eric Anders had the thing at the hotel with the shower, no hot water. So that one was kind of, what can you do? They gave him the extra hour. He made it. No big deal. And then we lost Munoz versus Dodson. And Prazeres came in. I think it's the third time in four fights he missed weight. I mean, weight cuts are getting to be scary things, too, with Uriah Hall. Is there a point where the UFC just has to step in and say, no, that's too much weight to cut. We shouldn't even be asking you to do this. So, do we need another tweak? Because we got the early weigh-ins, but still seeing a lot of issues.
Tell you what, if the UFC were to do it, I would be okay with it. They're a private organization; they can do whatever they want. But I'm absolutely against any government agency doing it. So what California's doing is an atrocity, I think. Stay away from me. Stay away from my scale, my team, myself, my family. We can figure it out. If the UFC wants to do something different, that's on them. Go for it. Power to them. Personally, I don't. I think people that have problems making weight are in the vast minority of people. Weight cut's never fun. It's a discipline for weeks to be able to get there. Even now, I'm fighting at 205 pounds. I'm still very disciplined with what I'm eating and how I'm eating, because I want to stay bigger and not lose quite as much as fast. So you just have to figure out how to do it. For the most part, I say you learn that during your amateur career or maybe your young pro career. And too many people don't look at it that way. Too many people they like I did that one time. I've got over 50 fights and I missed weight one time, and I hate that blemish on my record. I am so embarrassed by it. But it was my fault. I overestimated what I could do. I didn't prepare for it the way I should have, and I paid a 20% penalty because of it. and it's I hate that little check mark under my missed weight column because I'll never miss again. I swore I'd never miss in the first place, and it was just a little too much that time.
Now, the flip side of that, because I know you said there's the check mark, but you were also doing a favor, doing a solid for the UFC, stepping in so that they didn't lose a fight. So I guess to me it balances out a little because you did your best and you saved the fight. Now, I take it then, because there's two things I want to touch on. You mentioned you're okay if the UFC maybe makes their own rule, they're private, but government organization like an athletic commission, CSA, stay away. Is that more about them trying to force fighters up if they weigh in too much? After the weigh-in on fight day, is it more about the morning weigh-in? Like, what is it about what they're doing that you don't agree with?
Anything the government touches, they will make worse. They will find a way to make it worse for you, and that's 100% of the time. If I had my way, the government would check. The only thing they would be able to check is my blood, make sure my blood's clean, because that's more of a public health thing. But anything other than that, it's that they're trying to take responsibility away from myself, and I'm an intelligent, fully functioning adult, and I don't need anyone looking over my shoulder trying to tell me what I can and can't do.
Fair enough. Now, the other thing, the second part of that, so I take it then, this fight against Marcin Prachnio, this is going to be at light heavyweight, but I take it in this case, it was more the opportunity. This isn't something where you're thinking of going to 205 full time, are you?
Right now, this weight cut is so much easier than when I go to 85. So who knows? Maybe we'll see when I get in the cage. I mean, I know those big guys, they hit quite a bit harder than us middleweights. But I'm a big middleweight, and I'll be an average 205er. So we'll see. I'd be fine going back down to 85. I'd be fine staying at 205. But again, I say that now before I have my fight.
All right, now swinging it to Prachnio at UFC Orlando, February 24th, Amway Center. This is his UFC debut. You were fighting some pretty big name guys. Nate Marquardt got the win there, got the win over Rashad. Didn't go your way in Gdansk, but you're still coming off some big name wins. Were you a little surprised at getting a newcomer, or because you're stepping in to replace Joe Collier, it was just something where you wanted to get in the cage no matter what?
I wanted to get in the cage. We were trying to find a fight at 85, and they just didn't have anyone. They had their cards booked up, and they said maybe April will be able to find something. I said, well, I tell you what, I'd be willing to fight at 205 if you have something like there. They got back to us the next day and said, hey, how about this one? And the UFC, they've been so good to me. Anytime I've asked for a fight, they've gone out of their way to make sure I get one. And I said, yeah, let's do it. It's still a little short notice, but 6 weeks isn't bad. And so I was already training. I was already in, fight mode because I wanted to be ready for a last minute call again. So I was thrilled that the UFC said they had something for me. And it's I think too many people think about those rankings. We're fighters. When people, if you're going to turn down fights, you're no longer a fighter. You're someone who claims to be a fighter. It was offered, and I'll say yes.
All right, now, and I agree. I mean, especially when, I can understand turning down a fight if you're hurt, if it's too short notice. But yeah, you're right. If you're playing the game too much, then really, what's the point? Prachnio as well, I think is kind of flying under the radar here. He's fought everywhere from middleweight to actually heavyweight, so he's going to be a fairly big dude coming in. He was tearing it up in one. Supposed to fight Vitaly Bigdash for the title at one point. He's got that big right hand that he scored the knockout with last time out. So he might be flying under the radar with fans, but what's your take on him as far as what you need to watch out for?
The fun part about me going up a weight class for this fight is I'm not underestimating him. I'm looking at him as if he's the most dangerous guy in the world because I haven't fought at light heavyweight in 6 years. So I am much aware of how good he is. I've watched his fights. I see who he is. I know where he's training. And he's the real deal. He's going to make an impact in the UFC. I'm just going to make sure it doesn't happen on February 24th.
All right. Now, you getting in, fairly early in the year. We're still in February, and you like the fight. I think at one point you had the record for most fights in a 12-month span, or you were tied for
Yeah,
it.
I ended up tying Cerrone. I got there faster than Cerrone. But just before I fought Talis Laidas, I broke my ankle, and so I wasn't able to fight after Talis.
Yeah. Now, and I'll be honest with you, I mentioned to one of our other editors, I said, I'm going to be talking to Smiling Sam Sunday. He goes, oh, man, that's awesome. He goes, that's a guy who almost fights too much. Are you looking to keep the pace up this year? Do you want to scale it back a little so you have more recovery time? Because you are getting this one early.
Yeah, I'm going to say I love fighting. I've always loved fighting. Before I was in the UFC, I had 1 year I fought 12 times in a year. I just back to back to back to back. My last 3 fights before I made it to the UFC were all in the same 30-day period. And I won all of them. I love fighting. I love what I do. I love putting on a show. I love being ready to fight anyone at any time. So I'm not looking to slow down. If a slowdown happens, it happens, and I'll be okay with that. I'm sure my family would be okay with me fighting a little less. But I'm always looking for that next fight, that next big day. I want to leave my mark in this world, and I think the UFC is giving me the best one to do it.
Now, you mentioned as far as fighting often and being ready and being ready to go. You're training with Team Quest. How much of an impact does being with a team like that have with you being ready all the time? Because you got some big names there.
Yeah, I love my team. Dan Henderson has built such a great program for professional fighters and amateur fighters at that. Actually, I've kind of taken over the amateur ranks, and they're the amateur team, and we've got just a beastly team. So I love what they've done with me. I love what I'm helping build this team into again. And I think you can see it in my fighting style. I've got that. We're fighting to win. I'm fighting to finish. And it's very much the style we like to train at Team Quest.
All right. Now, would love to see the finish on February 24th. I'm also curious because you had a fight lined up briefly. I guess it was like a gentleman's agreement with Vitor Belfort. UFC didn't end up booking it. And we're seeing a lot of the real middleweight legends kind of making their way out of the sport right now. Michael Bisping's on the verge of retirement. Vitor's on the verge of retirement. Anderson Silva's not going to be around much longer. We saw Machida get the win this weekend, but how much longer is he going to be there? Are there any guys out there that's really a dream fight for you right now?
Well, the champion. The champion's always the dream fight. But if I had to pick an actual name, I still, I declared it my Vengeance Tour. There were a list of guys that had beaten my coach, Dan Henderson, and I wanted to beat him back. So Bisping, Vitor, Machida, Silva. I know at the rate they're falling, I'm not going to be able to get them all, but I'd love to get one of them. Silva would be so much fun. I like his fighting style. I wish I fought more like him. He had so much fun, and he was just better than everyone. And the only other one I can compare that to is Mighty Mouse, but Mighty Mouse is a little small for me.
Might be a little quick too.
He'd probably be a little quick. Yeah, I don't mean small as in I'd win. I mean small as in it wouldn't get sanctioned.
Oh, I know. When you touched on Silva, we might not see him again for a long time, if ever. Does what he's going through to you tarnish any of his achievements?
No, it really doesn't. If he turns out he's cheating now, and maybe he's cheating the whole time, it's fighting. I've beaten people that have been juiced out of their minds before. And it is an advantage, but I don't know. He enjoyed what he did. He made it look so effortless. It wouldn't bother me. It really wouldn't. Maybe it should, but it wouldn't.
All right. Fair enough. Couple of questions out of left field for you, because I like to have a little bit of fun from now and again. You're a video game guy, from what I know. You play UFC 3 yet?
I did. I downloaded it last night. UFC hooked me up, and yeah, I'm playing that.
Now, as a fighter, do you play as yourself, or is that a little weird?
I only play as myself. And I'm not even that good in the game. But no, I'm gonna take the title of Smiling Sam Alvey. Yes, Smiling Sam. And so I was dream come true. I was in the second UFC game, EA UFC 2, and it has the smiley face on the back of my head like I always have, which is just fantastic. But then this new game, it has my celebration victory chant. So after I win, I'm so excited. I can't believe they put that in. I'm just beside myself with happiness that they did that.
So it's got the arms out and everything with the
arms out. It's got the fingers going. It's the salute of the Raven Butterfly. Yeah, I'm beyond happy.
Awesome, that's fantastic. I haven't played it yet, so I might get a chance to check it out. I probably won't be very good at it, but I'll still be better than if I was really fighting.
Yeah, me neither. I got to keep playing my 4-year-old. It make me feel good.
One other super silly question, but Elias Theodoro, who you've been in the cage with before, he's got the whole Pert Plus sponsorship going for the hair care. Have you thought about finding like a toothpaste or a teeth whitener or something to get that smile going?
Hey, I'm always open to anyone that wants to jump on board. I'm a Colgate, Aquafina, or any of those other ones, man. And if you want to sell 1 million tubes of toothpaste, you come talk to Smiling Sam.
All right, we're gonna throw that out there. Colgate, if you're reading this when it comes out. All right, one last one, man. Again, I really want to thank you for your time today. Going back to UFC Orlando, and I always ask this to anyone I talk to, but what is your prediction for the fight with Prachnio?
I'm going to get my hand raised. I'm not going to decision again either. I'm going to find a way, submission, knockout, TKO, whatever it is. I'm not going to decision. I'm so sick of going to decision. I'm a finisher, and I think I'm on a 5-fight streak now of decisions. It's garbage. And I'm disappointed in myself, and I'm not going to let it happen again.
All right, man. Strong words. Hope to see you get the finish in Orlando.
Hey, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for doing it. I hope to talk to you again, man. You have a great one.